Hi everyone, it's Helen here from Bodywork-Pilates, and today we're going to have a look at a movement that you will quite often see in classes. It's seated spine twist. It's designed to mobilise the upper back area, that area that we traditionally can get quite tight into with poor posture, and we're going to do this in a modified way. Traditionally and classically, this movement would be done from seated with the legs outstretched, with the feet flexed, the arms out to the side. For a lot of people, that's really difficult. It's a lot of work through those hamstrings, so if you're not particularly flexible, that can be an issue. It's so important when you do this exercise that you really sit up into the sitting bones. Seated is the most difficult position in which to maintain that natural curve of the spine. So if necessary, use a block or do this sitting on a chair. It doesn't really matter. The idea is that we stabilise the pelvis, but we move from the thoracic area, the rib cage area. So I'm going to sit with my legs in a prayer position, so that's the soles of the feet towards each other and the knees dropping out. It just relaxes my hips, and I'm going to be able to get myself then quite easily right up onto the bones of my bum, my sitting bones. Now again, it doesn't matter if you prefer to sit with your legs outstretched, if that works for you. If you don't feel any loss of curvature in your spine, you can do that. I'm not a big fan of crossing the legs, but I know some people don't mind that. Sitting on blocks can take some of the effort out of the hips. So choose a position where you can stabilise your pelvis and sit up nice and tall, having those hip bones facing forward, the ribs drawn in, a sense of elongation through the front edge of the body. Shoulders are open, but we're not militarily pulling them back. The chin is slightly retracted and the crown of the head reaches to the ceiling. So if someone were to stand above you, your weight would go right down through from the crown of the head and right down out of the pelvic floor. Okay, so we take the hands together into a prayer position. Thumbs come to the breastbone. The fingers come back to the chin rather than pressing the chin forward to the hands. Okay. Taking your slight lift of pelvic floor, your slight corset, whatever you understand your control to be. Breathe in to prepare, so in through the nose. And then as you breathe out, just allow the ribs to move around. And then inhale to come back to center and exhale to rotate. So inhale center, exhale rotate. So in this position, we're maintaining a single movement of the spine, keeping everything moving in one movement. Now I personally breathe out to rotate and breathe in to return, but I do know that some people much prefer to breathe in to rotate and out to return. So I generally suggest that people breathe easily, as long as you're breathing in through the nose, as long as you're placing the breath into the fullness of your ribs and not down into the belly, and as long as you're not holding your breath, then we're not going to go too far wrong. But my preference is to breathe in to prepare, out to return, to rotate, and in to return. So, now obviously we need to have as much mobility around our spine as possible. Our lumbar spine doesn't have a huge amount of rotation, but our neck should. So to continually do the movement in this position, where we don't move the head at all, can be a bit restrictive. We start with that because it means that people then do move from their ribs rather than just turning the head and not moving their ribs at all, okay? So it might be that after a while, in that same upright position, you rotate, and when the ribs can't move anymore, perhaps turn the chin to look over the shoulder. Bring the chin back, bring the ribs back, rotate, rotate, return, and return. Okay? You could also, of course, change the arms. This is quite a light position. We're not holding any real excess weight. You might then want to move into something like a cross position. That's a little harder to keep the chin initially lined to the breastbone, but then you might add on the rotation from the neck too. Add a little bit more weight by moving into Cossack. And that's important to keep the arms in place then. What tends to happen here, if I turn and face, you'll see more easily. If I was to sit like this, if I don't move my ribs and only move my arms, I get this. So my ribs haven't really moved. So the idea is that you move your ribs, because your ribs move, your arms move. Don't move the arms any more than they need to. Turn the head, bring it back to center, back in line with the wrist, in line with the breastbone, back to center, and then around to the other way. Turn my head a little early there. And then back to center. Okay. And you can progress and add weight into that by making the arms longer and longer, until eventually you might even do it with the straight arms, taking the arms around. Again, the same rules apply as when we had the arms in Cossack. So the idea is that we get this movement at the rib cage, we stabilize the pelvis. Now, it's not so easy to see unless you're sitting with extended legs. So, and I'll turn again so that you can see what I'm doing. You might not be able to see what's happening here, but if I was to not stabilize my pelvis, okay, and rotate, and then bring it back to center, and then go the other way, and just see if you can see what's happening with my legs. So when I don't stabilize my pelvis, one leg grows a little longer than the other. When I don't stabilize my pelvis, one leg grows a little longer than the other. If I were to stabilize my pelvis, legs stay exactly the same, so they don't move. We call it disappearing leg syndrome. Okay, so if you can see that, if I do it from here, there you go. So again, if I don't stabilize my pelvis and I rotate, one leg presses forward, bring it back to center. If I bring it back to center and then maintain the stillness of my pelvis, my legs stay the same length. So the idea, as I said before, is to mobilize that sometimes tight area around the rib cage. We want to make sure that we get a freedom of movement in the rib cage that allows our muscles and our fibers to slide, to give us that movement that allows us to go forward and back easily, to go into rotation easily, and into side to side, that side bending easily. So it's really important that we maintain that. It's very important as you do that also that you create the sensation of lifting up. So rotating and being quite squat into it is of no value. You need to get that sense of lifting up, trying to grow a little bit taller with every rotation. So every time you rotate, just gets a little bit taller. You seem to be corkscrewing up and out of the ground with every rotation. So just a few little pointers there to for you to get the best out of your spine twist, your seated spine twist. As I say, you'll see it in a lot of classes. You can do it sitting on the floor, you can do it sitting on a chair, you can do it from standing. It's quite hard to stabilize the pelvis from standing, but it's up to you. The idea is that we move that thoracic area of the spine. So have a go, see what you think.